We are often taught that the human experience is filtered through 5 distinct, isolated senses. In this model, vision, hearing, and touch act as separate cables plugged into the brain, each providing an independent stream of data that never overlaps. However, some people experience a crossover where those streams merge. One woman noted that for her, every month of the year has a specific, unchanging color. When she thinks of June, her mind's eye is filled with red. This condition, known as synesthesia, affects roughly 4% of the population. It often brings unique advantages. Some individuals report flawless spelling and enhanced memory because they see words as distinct color sequences or navigate time as a physical space. Because synesthesia is a natural biological variation rather than a disease, it raises a question about our standard perception. It suggests that the wall between our senses might be less a biological fact and more of a learned restraint. These cross-wired experiences challenge the assumption that our senses are meant to operate in isolation. Biologically, the brain is a single, massive neural network. Because these nodes are so interconnected, any stimulus entering the system has the potential to be processed by any part of the network, regardless of which sense collected the data. For most people, the brain manages this potential chaos by deploying natural restraints. These act as biological traffic cops, limiting the movement of messages to specific pathways to keep our sensory inputs organized. In a synesthetic brain, there are fewer of these restraints. Data bleeds across the standard boundaries, allowing a sound to activate the same neural regions as a color. Some neuroscientists suggest this sensory bleeding was once a vital survival mechanism for our ancestors 70,000 years ago. If a hunter experienced a sour taste or a flash of color upon hearing a predator's growl, the warning of danger became biologically undeniable. The confusion of the senses provided a more vivid alarm than a single sound in the woods. This advantage likely became an obstacle during the development of language. For a tribe to function, its members needed to perceive the world with a high degree of uniformity. Effective communication relies on shared experience. If one member saw red when an animal growled, while another experienced a sour taste, the resulting confusion could have weakened the tribe's ability to coordinate and survive. According to this theory, the modern brain evolved to inhibit our natural ability to mix the senses, prioritizing the clear, uniform communication needed for collective survival. You can test if your own brain still carries the residue of this prehistoric crosswiring. Look at these shapes. Which is Booba and which is Kiki? Statistically, 95% of people across different cultures choose Booba for the rounded shape and Kiki for the angular one. This happens because the brain intrinsically links the soft auditory sound of Booba with visual curves and the sharp, sudden sound of Kiki with visual angles. This universal response proves that even in the modern world, our brains still combine hearing and vision in ways that bypass conscious logic. This internal crosswiring also shapes how we physically connect with others. When we hug someone, the subcortex, a deep part of the brain, decodes the intensity and duration of that touch. It uses these physical details to draw conclusions about the other person's emotional state. This physical contact serves as a direct transfer of emotional data between two neural networks. Consider a parent hugging a child while feeling overwhelmed by stress or anxiety. The child's senses process more than the physical contact. They decode the emotional state underlying the hug. If the parent is merely fulfilling a duty while gripped by negative emotions, those signals are conveyed to the child's neural network, potentially leading to adverse physical and mental effects. To transfer genuine comfort, the internal emotion should match the outward action. Focusing on a happy memory for a few seconds before a hug ensures the child receives a positive emotional signal. The senses can deceive us. They often suggest that we are isolated individuals, perceiving the world through our own private windows. Our biology reveals a different reality. We are interconnected networks that continuously blend sights, sounds, and emotions with the people around us.